Hello, friends. I think I'm live. Feels live. How's everybody doing tonight? Here we are back again on YouTube as usual. Tonight I am going to stick around in Blender for quite a while. We're going to make some stuff, and then we're going to take that stuff and try to use it as input for AI animations. So it's sort of like a workflow. I've been showing this workflow quite a bit, so probably at some point I'll stop introducing the workflow and just start working. But, for now, it's probably best to explain what I'm doing so it makes sense. This is, I just made a bunch of little shapes with some procedural modeling with geometry nodes. And then just did some fun displacement stuff, instancing on points to make them float around and, make them loop so that when we make clips, they loop, and then hopefully we can cut looping clips together and make music videos out of it and stuff like that. So yeah, you could make this audio reactive. You could just make loops like this, like I'm doing, and then cut it all together later. There's also other things like you could generate a bunch of footage with AI and then take it into like Touch Designer and make an active playhead that reacts to the amplitude of the tracks you're working on or whatever to drag the video along more when there's more sound and stuff. As my friend Tenzia has been really working on that a lot lately. If you check out his Instagram, he's got some really amazing stuff on there. Just see if I can find that link super quick. It's awesome. It's a really good way to use all this footage that we keep making. Tenzia. Yeah. I'll just link the post because I can't play the audio because I don't want to get copy stricken. But yeah. Check that out when you get a chance. That is basically using Touch Designer to make it drag along the video based on different things in the music. Maybe it's the amplitude of the bass or the intensity of the music or, certain frequency ranges and things like that. And I think he's got other effects going on as well on other parts of the track. So you can see where this stuff can go. We're making the building blocks and then we're going to sample it and remix it into new stuff. So I think that's the most fun part of AI is making stuff and then cutting it up and twisting it and making new stuff with it, using it as samples and loops and remixing, just like we do with audio. So yeah, let's get started. I'll zoom out on this. You guys can see what's going on here, but we're basically got these cool little things. We just find a place where they're not bumping into the camera. And yeah, these loops are all perfect loops. When they get to frame 60, they loop back on themselves. So you can record it from a bunch of different angles and then have yourself a bunch of loops. But yeah, I'm going to rebuild this whole thing from scratch so you can see what I'm doing. But yeah, the basic idea is we're just going to have fun with Blender and make some cool masks. And yeah, if you have questions, if you've never used Blender and you don't know what the hell I'm doing, go ahead and ask and I'll try and answer. All right, let's get started. We'll save this as weird helix thing. All right, let's have a new Blender project. So I'm using Blender 4.1, which is the 4.1 alpha, which is the daily build of Blender. And the reason I'm using that is that it has Eevee Next in it, which is the render engine. The render engine Eevee Next has support for ambient occlusion, which is the shader node that I'm using to make it look like all of the shapes are lit from every angle. I'll explain this when I pull the shader in so you can see it, but yeah, if you're trying to follow along, you're going to need the 4.1.0 daily build on blender.org. So that's you go to the download page, you need to go to builds, and then I think it's just this one right here, the 4.1.0 alpha. So download that, and then when you run it, you'll have access to Eevee Next, which is the one that doesn't say Legacy. So that's Eevee Next. And yeah, I'll show you the difference in a minute, and when we get a shape in there. Actually, I'll show you the difference now. We'll just throw a quick shader on this cube. We already have a shader on the cube, so let's have a look at our shader editor. Switch this to rendered mode. All right. So right now it is just principled material, which means it reflects light with roughness and metallic. So you can, decide on your materials and that kind of thing. Otherwise, I'm going to use an emissive texture, which doesn't pay attention to what light is hitting it. It just emits light. So You can go any way you want about this, and it's all different ways of lighting things and stuff. And like if you're doing depth masks and stuff, it's good to have gradients. But if you want to do like QR code masks and stuff like that, you're going to want to use like emissive shaders because they're like very stiff, like black and white. Like you can set constant colors and have them react accordingly and be black and white things as opposed to stuff with gradients. But yeah, so let's kill this and add an emissive shader. So that's an emission shader. You can also just click this and switch it to an emission shader. And what we need to punch in here is a color ramp. All right. And the other thing we need is an ambient occlusion node. And we're going to go on the AO out of the ambient occlusion node. And I'm going to have a quick wonder why this isn't working. Feeling pretty dumb. Oh, I think it is working. It's just not enough stuff going on. Let me change this to an ecosphere. It might need some... bear with me here, sorry. I haven't come at it this way yet. I want to let me inset these faces. Oh. Sorry, friends. Let's get this going. Basically, I'm just got to give this some depth so I can see if the AO is working. So we need to extrude faces along normals. Yeah, I'm just basically trying to... Yeah, see, this is what the ambient occlusion does. It adds this sort of shadow where there should be shadows, and it lights it from all directions. So it's like this very static way of doing lighting. But it works well for depth maps because, you know, these things look like depth maps. So yeah, if we're using this stuff to animate, then this is kind of a really cool way to make fake depth maps for using ControlNet, which we can see how that works later. But yeah, I'm not going to model it like I did here. I'm going to actually use procedural modeling. So let's add a cube and go over to geometry nodes. Then we want to add a geometry nodes to the cube. And first things first, we're going to set material to that material that we made. Again, this has no edges, so there's nothing for it to light. That's why it's all white. All right. In geometry nodes, we have all kinds of fun stuff, but we can add, where are the meshes? We can add a mesh primitive ecosphere. So this is going to give us a little ecosphere. This is hard to see. Let me switch it to wireframe mode. Yeah, solid. There we go. So this is giving us a little ecosphere. We can use whatever nodes we want here. This is where we do, instead of the shaders, we have access to the geometry. So we can do stuff like extrusions and selections and all kinds of fun math stuff to do crazy models. So yeah, check this out. Let's add a dual mesh. That's going to turn it into a soccer ball type situation. Once we have a soccer ball type situation, we add an extrude, and then we got our little pokey bits. After our extrude, we add a scale elements. Plug the top into the selection. That means it's going to select the top of each point, and then it'll scale it down. So you have the ability to scale it up, scale it down. So as you can imagine, this is going to give you a lot of procedural control. Because you can, you know, decide what these look like. And then if you like them, oh, that's weird. Oh, cool. That's just totally broken. Nice. Control-Shift-D. There we go. If you have Node Wrangler installed, which is in add-ons, you just type Node Wrangler. Just click that, turn it on. You can duplicate nodes and create mapping nodes and stuff. Gives you a ton of node shortcuts. Highly recommend it. So that was Control-Shift-D, and I duplicated these nodes with their connections. This one we don't have to connect here. We're actually going to do this twice, right? So now we've got two, so we can get some really cool patterns going here. Switch back over to our thing, and you can see we've got all the things in the shader. All the things are cool. We can make a bunch of puffy balls, so let's do that. Let's add a subdivide surface. How's that look? Not too bad. Let's do a set shade smooth. Not bad. You always have to decide, you know, how much subdivision is worth it, because every time you subdivide it, you make it more and more resource intensive on the machine. So you got to decide how smooth you want it based on, you know, how much your computer can handle. So if you have a pretty good video card, you can actually probably do 3 for all of them and then keep moving them around. But you'll notice when we start making more and more of these objects, if they're if they're subdivided too much, they're a little much. But yeah, you can see by just playing with some of the variables, you can get all kinds of really cool stuff. So you imagine you can tie any of these values to audio. So you do right? Boot 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 do. And then you can make an audio reactive mask and you're off to the races. This is kind of cool. Very accidental, but very cool. I wonder if this would be cool to just like go 60 frames. We're going to do short animations so that I can do quick renders later. But as a result, it might be too fast. So let me think about how to handle that. Why don't I do 240 frame animations and make it sort of loop twice over the course? That's pretty long. Let's do 60s. All right, I'll just make it work. Okay, I'm going to use a node from Arendale's node toolkit, but actually I'm trying to think of how I would do that without his node. I'm just trying to get this back to sanity. Ooh, that's cool. I like that. Yeah, as you imagine, you can get absolutely lost in this stuff for hours because it looks so cool. You know, so go ahead, get lost. Who cares? Crazy. Just trying to find the right. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. All right, cool. So, we could just animate this, or we could make a whole animation with a bunch of these. So let's make a bunch of these and then make one of those morphing animations that I was doing before. So, after you have one made that you like, go ahead and click this little shield up here, and then click the copy button next to it, and it's going to make a new geometry node group. Actually, you don't need to click the copy yet, but you do click the shield. Then click on the object you want to duplicate, and Shift D to duplicate it. Just click to get rid of the selection, and then hit Y3. Sorry, GY3. Select it, GY3. Why is that not working? GY3, and that's going to move it 3 meters on the Y-axis. G for grab, Y for the Y-axis, 3 for 3 meters. We're just going to do that over and over again to make a bunch of different shapes. So for this second shape, you want to click that little copy button, and that's going to make a new geometry nodes patch for this one. So now you can make changes on this one, and it won't affect this one. So we can have a whole bunch of different spheres or whatever. So this is an ecosphere. We don't need to be an ecosphere. We can use any of the mesh primitives. So let's go back to mesh and primitives, and let's try a cube. See what that looks like. That's kind of cool. And then let's play with these a bit. Let's try and get them around the same size. So yeah, as you can see, just by selecting a few. Ooh, that's pretty cool. Interesting. And then I'm noticing the shader could use some love. Well, hit home on your keyboard to find the stuff once it's selected. There we go. There we go. Cool. So yeah, just switch between shader node and geometry node editor when you want to work on stuff. And yeah, we'll try and find a happy medium so that they always look good with the default shader settings, so you don't have to have multiple shaders. Spiky little thing. Same deal, Control D. Select that new one, GY3. Probably makes sense to name them. Let's go with Hex Virus. What's this? Spiky flower thing. And we don't have a name for this one yet, so let's play. Oh yeah, right. We have to do the shield and copy on the new one, and then I can edit it without messing up the other ones. Just remove the dual mesh. See if we can get something cool. Whoa, crazy. What if we go backwards on these? That's kind of cool. Whoa. Don't crank those up too much, I guess. Ooh, I like that. That's very cool. Yeah, so just slide them around until they look cool, right? The other thing I need to do is if they're not scaled up correctly, you can just add a, I'm just trying to think of where to add it. I think right before the subdivide, let's add a scale elements, like just another one of these. And then instead of plugging a selection into it, it'll just scale the whole thing. So let's have a look at it on the x-axis. And we'll just try and make them all around the same size so that they don't, they look cool all side by side and whatnot. Same deal with this one. Just add one of these. Oh, that's weird. The copy and paste is just not working right now. Scale elements. Boop. And then let's bring you up a little bit. Yeah. So there's 3. Let's add another one. Control D. GY 3. Maybe 4 makes more sense. Let's just move those out a bit. So that'll be 4, 8. A little easier to see. All right, let's do the shield and the new one. Okay, let's get rid of the cube and let's try something else. Mesh primitive. Let's try cylinder. Let's turn down the vertices to like 4, 6, 2 side, 3 side elements. Ooh, that's kind of cool. Crazy. You gotta love procedural modeling. You don't even have to know how to model. You just have to know how to slide sliders. These are all pretty cool. So for the radius and depth, we'll be able to control. Oh, that's neat. Whoa. That's cool. All right, let's try that again. Control D. GY4 this time. Whoopsie doodle. Oh, Control Z is not working either. Oh, we're having a rough one with Blender right now. Mesh, primitives, cylinder. Oh, geez. 4 was it? Let's see if I can remember what we had here. Depth was that? The 6 verts. Yeah. I feel righter? More righter? Okay. This one we're going to copy and paste. Yep. And then, yeah, get rid of the cylinder. Let's do another ecosphere. I like them. Oh, that's trippy already. All right, let's set all this stuff to. What did I break? That is interesting. Well, that's pretty cool. Okay. All right, well, these are pretty neat. This is probably enough to get a cool thing going. So yeah, if you want to make them yourself, just here. This is the. Take a second and screenshot this this setup and rebuild it. I'll zoom in on it in a second. Just get it all close together so you can see it. Scooby boop boop doop doop doop. There we go. I'll just leave that up for a few minutes or whatever so you can make a good screenshot of that. That's the basic setup for the mesh stuff. So you can just plug whatever mesh you like into the front. Play with the settings, play with that final scale at the end there to make it fit. Decide how many subdivisions you want on the surface, like how smooth it is, and that the more you increase that, the more it's going to affect your like performance when it comes time to like make these things move and stuff. But for now, yeah, just this is the setup. Use it to make stuff, and then I'll just show you now. We got all this stuff, so let's select them all. So we're gonna hit M, and we'll to M to move to collection. We're going to make a new collection called shapes, and we're going to hide it. So now we have all those shapes in a collection in the ether, and they're safe and they're ready to go. So what we're going to do is now make a thing and then instance those meshes all over the thing. So let's create a cube. This cube is just a placeholder for the geometry nodes. So let's add geometry nodes. And then, all right. We want to, I'm trying to think of what the like easiest animation will look like. Let's do a grid so we can visualize this so you can understand what's happening. Okay. I'm going to also make a join geometry so we can always see the grid. Then I can turn it off later once we've built it so you can see what it is we're doing. But right now we have this grid, right? And we want to take that grid and then on all of the vertices, which are, of course, they don't show up here. Anyway, this is a vertice, this is a vertice, this is a vertice, this is a vertice. On those points, it's going to generate stuff. The more we add, the more points we're going to get, the more stuff we're going to have all over the thing. So I'll show you what I mean. Okay, we're going to instance on points. Our instance is going to be a collection info node. And then that collection info node, we're going to select shapes. We're going to separate and reset the children. That basically makes it so that it only selects one per instance. Pick instance, that's to make it choose an instance. All right, and then we're just going to scale them down. Okay. So does this make sense? We've put a thing on each point. So if we start adding more vertices, we get more things. Yes? We increase our size. 4, 16. So let me get rid of the plane because we only need the, yeah, there we go. We only actually need the things. So yeah, you can see now we have a grid and we've instanced all these things onto the grid. So one of the really fun things we can do with the grid now is, I use Arendelle Toolkit for this, but you could probably build your own texture displacement thing. I just use Aaron's because it's awesome and Aaron's pack is great and I don't get a kickback or anything, but I think if you want Aaron Toolkit, Gumroad, highly recommend these tools. It's just like a huge pack of like awesome tools. And I don't mean to brag or anything, but there is a Purz node. I'm just saying. Awesome stuff. There's a whole video here on what they do. I think, yeah, every ETK node, what they do. So when you're ready to get more crazy with geometry nodes, this is really fun. Lots of really fun tools here. Oh yeah, and I pasted it. Cool. All right. So I'm going to use a tool from Arendelle Toolkit called, my brain will find it, Displace Texture. All right, so we're going to displace the grid with a texture. If you've seen any of my other streams, you'll understand why we're going to do this, because we can loop a wave texture and then have control over what it does. So watch this. I'll take our displace texture. We're going to put it in between the grid and the points, the instance on points. Okay. And we're going to plug in a wave texture. And our wave texture, if we remember from other stuff, goes from 0 to tau, which is pi times 2. When you go from 0 to tau, it perfectly loops. So what do? On frame 1, we go phase offset of 0, press I to set the keyframe. Then we go to frame 61, one frame after our animation ends. And we change it to, in my case, I'm using negative tau, but you can use tau, it's fine, or pi times 2. It's the same calculation, tau. So negative tau, negative 6.2 is because it's 3.141592654, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. So hit I to save it. And now it's going to be really fast because our scale is high, but it will loop. So this is going to actually perfectly loop. So you can just set up a camera and, you've got a looping mask already. There's, way more we can do with this. Go away, Steam. Right, let me get rid of my overlay because it's very annoying. Okay. So what can we do with this? Let's turn the scale down. Look at that. It's a wave. Look at that. It's really a wave. So what looks cool as hell is just a simple wave with a little bit of distortion. Look at that. We got a perfectly flapping blanket of cool stuff. What's another cool thing we can do? Well, maybe we can make all these little meshes rotate the whole time. So what do we do there? We only want them to rotate 180 degrees because they're all like symmetrical. So when they hit 180, they will look the same as when they're at 0. So we get a full rotation each loop by saving half the time, which means they get to loop a little slower, which means they don't look insane spinning around really fast because we only have 60 frames, right? So let's try 180 degrees. So same process, start at 0. Let's pick a direction. We want them to spin. I think I want them to spin that way. So on the x-axis, so we'll start at 0 and we'll go to the final frame plus 1, 61 frames, and then 180 degrees and press I to save the keyframe. So now they should spin and spin. Pretty cool, eh? And so a grid is just literally a plane. So like things get a lot more interesting when you don't use a grid. So this is pretty cool too. Nothing wrong with it, but and if you crank up the distortion more, you get an even more interesting motions. Crank up the distortion and turn the scale down even more. Get some really cool ropey transitions. It's always interesting to look at them dead on too. But yeah, once you kill the background of the world and like that already right there is probably would make a pretty cool animation mask. but we can go deeper. So let's get the distortion back to 0.1. Let's get a nice wave going. All right, so we got our wave motion, so we can kind of visualize what it's doing. I'm actually going to bring this down to 8 and change it to 3. There we go. A little more distance between them and stuff. Okay. So let's try a cube. Now this is interesting because our cube needs more vertices. Now the wave is pushing through all the vertices of the cube in a very organic way. Ooh, don't do that. My bad. That would be a pretty cool mask too, I think. Man, that's trippy. Let's put a little plane down so you can see what the hell it looks like. But yeah, as you can imagine, just moving a couple things, you get some really wicked animations out of this. Whoa. Yeah, okay, that's pretty cool. So yeah, the cube is cool. Let's try cylinder. I was getting some really cool stuff with cylinders. Yeah. Well, these are cool. So yeah, I mean, you can only imagine what the AI is going to dream over this stuff. So let's decide on some stuff and make some masks. Let's do grid. Start with grid again. Got our cool little grid. I think it was 3. 6? No, 7? 8, I think. Oh, that's interesting. I think, yeah, there is a point where they all line up. Yeah, yeah. What do we think? Does it look better symmetrical or asymmetrical with like different setups? I don't know. I can't tell. It's hard to say. I think I kind of like that. I'm curious what that'll make. Let's so another thing you can do is increase the strength of the texture displacement, and that's actually going to make them move more, you know? So you can try to find your happy medium of what you want to move. I want them to move like quite a bit so that like there's stuff happening, but I want to try to keep it within the confines of the thing. I think that does a pretty good job. One thing I'm going to do is just pull the camera up a little bit to maybe 11. So let's save this mask. We'll save it as temp. I put it in my temp folder. It's going to save a PNG sequence. So let's do depth, icons, and render. One other thing I forgot to do is in color management in this render tab, it's set to AGX by default, which is great if your scene is realistic, but this is not really a realistic scene. It's going to be a depth map. So I wanted to go from black to actual white, which means I need it to be standard. See how it's like actually white now? AGX is sort of gray. Reasoning for that is when you're using cameras in the real world, there is no real like white light like that. So AGX and Filmic, they're sort of designed to mimic the real world, whereas we don't want to mimic the real world. We want like full 0 to 1 black to white, contrast in our image, because that's what the control net needs to work. So render animation, and we're going to save this. It'll just render this out. This is pretty cool. I like this one. I like the weird clamshell ones. Those things. Ooh, might be cool to do a really close up one of these too. Like just like 9 of them or something. We'll do that as well here. And then, oh, it's done. Okay. So let's save that, make a new one, and size 1. Let's do 4. And then we'll just bring the strength down a bit. Yeah. And then camera. Let's go back to 35 millimeter, but then zoom it down. Yeah. And then let's set it to like 0.25, 0.5. That's cool. And let's move it down a bit. Camera down. We're just trying to get it into the frame without it clipping out. That's cool. All right. This might be a good mask too, but we shall see. Depth icons too. Render. What do I offer on my Patreon? Oh, Patreon is really more of a tip jar right now. The supporter status, you get supporter status on my Discord, which means you can hang out in a special channel. And, if you have questions and stuff, I try to answer those first. And then you'll also get access to a comprehensive mask pack, which I'm working on right now, of all the Blender masks I've been making. So like all the subscribers get, all the supporters get access to that. You only have to support once. I'll send it out to everyone who ever supported, so you don't feel like you have to keep supporting if you want that mask back. It just takes me too long to build it. So yeah, it's coming. I swear. Okay. I'm actually going to import the other ones from that other project I was using because they're cool. So how can I do that? Append from weird helix thing, objects. Cool. All right, you, and you go in here. Cool. All right, and then we'll go 8, and then I wonder if we set this to 360 and have it spinning. Ooh, that's kind of trippy. Oh, that's just vomit inducing. Vomitaceous. So I think it's still in a pattern. So if I instance index random, does it like random? Yeah. And I think it's 0 to 1, 0 to 0. Yeah, if you wanted to make them all the same, you can use that to do that. Or if you just wanted to select a range of them, you know what I mean? It's kind of cool too. So I think I don't have to think. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 objects in the shapes group. So 0 to 9. That should be everything. Maybe it is 0 to 10. But yeah, that definitely stops it from being like a sequence. And you could randomize the seed. I think as long as you have more than the number, it's going to get everything. I think I actually like them sorted though. Ooh, that's kind of trippy. For some reason, they just seem like mutated pineapples now. That's kind of trippy. Let's try a big wobbly one. Big old wobbly one. All right, let's try that. Depth icons 3. All right. I promise to get to the AI stuff. Oh, thanks, JC. Might not be my stuff. The other thing you can generate with these is normal maps. You don't necessarily have to make depth maps. You can just apply the normal to the shaders, and I think that we'll just make normal maps, which you can use with normal map control net. That's the nice thing about blenders. You get real normals. I want to try that. Let's bring the strength back down to like 1. Bring these down to like 4. Yeah, that's cool. And actually kind of like those pillars. Those are neat. Be nice if they all fit though. Ooh, that's cool. All right, so let's I'm gonna also kill this rotation. I don't love this one. Clear single keyframe. And now instead of the ambient occlusion, go to shader editor, TRL. All right, let's kill the ambient occlusion for now. Oh, why are some of them not? Oh, it's a different material. Interesting. To do this twice. Normal. What does this look like? Oh. Whoa. I've completely forgotten how to get the normal. Those aren't not normals. Interesting. Yeah, we're just gonna delete that, and is right. Strength is fine. Screw it. Let's do the same thing on the other one. The other shader is this one. Not you. I want the bump node. Bonk. Oh, that's actually interesting for depth maps too. Cool. Good to remember that. Normal into a color ramp is an interesting depth map. Okay, these should make pretty cool normals. So let's save this one as well. Normal 1. Okay. Let's make some stuff. Come on, Comfy. I know you got 400 packages to look through, but, do your thing. Okay. Chrome. We want Purz 127. All right. All right, eh? Oh, yeah, eh? Oh, hell yeah. Okay. Oh, all right. All right. So, what have we generated? We've generated this normal map. We can try the normal map first. I'm actually super interested in what this does. Looks good. Looks loopy. Ah, crap. Those aren't the same at 180 degrees. Whatever. AnimateDiff's gonna chonk that anyway. Who cares? All right. Don't tell anyone I screwed up as he broadcasts it on YouTube. So we'll load that into the path. We're gonna select every image because it's only 60 frames, and we're actually only gonna do 16 to start. No, we're not. Skip. Start with 16. All right. If you need this workflow, it's on my Discord. Just dropped it last night. Go ahead and grab it. 0.8. Okay. Do I have the normal control net? Is there an SCXL normal control net? Uh-oh. Aw. Really? Really? Bummer. Oh, man. Candy, Lionheart, Open Pose, Depth, Zoe, Sketch. No way. You don't have a normal? Nobody trained a normal. Really? Why does it keep going to that? Well, that sucks. Somebody who isn't me should get on that because I don't want to. I don't know how. Bummer. All right. Screw it. Back to depth. So what's this? Line art and depth. Let's do the big one first. Okay. Yep. 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 It's a little high. 0.5. Line art. Depth. Blah 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 blah. I'm gonna unplug the upscaler for now because we don't need it. Hey, Xlad, what's up? So I do a 16 frame run to see if it looks good. If it looks good, we will continue. I just realized my prompt is still using the balloons, Laura, and it's about an ocean of balloons. So should make for an interesting animation because these don't look like that, but they might look cool as balloons. Hard to say. Oh, hell yeah. Why are you ripply? Okay, let's crank up the control net strength a little bit to 0.8 for both of them and see what that makes. Yeah, it's AnimateDiff plus Hotshot plus control net plus IP adapter plus mask we just made in Blender. Plus. Anything is possible with AnimateDiff. The power of ComfyUI. Well, not everything, but some things. Oh, those are trippy. I feel like the line art's maybe a little too much. Let's put that at 0. Keep the depth at 0.8. When I'm happy, I'll just do a full run and we'll get all the stuff. I think I know what's happening here. I know it looks like crap. I'm aware of why. I think we can fix it too. Yeah. All right. We need an image crop. Or is it upscale? No. Crop. Actually, width and height, we're going to switch to inputs. We're going to grab them from the front, width and height. All right. Pull this into here. We don't need this. And this plugs into our VAE encoder. No, it doesn't. Yes, it does. Yeah. I think that's right. We'll see. And then you go in here, you go in here, and that does that. And up there should do. If I'm right, it should crop. Yeah. Why did you wig out? Oh, because you're not plugged in. So it's rendering at the wrong resolution. It's running at 432 by 432, which is because it was square. So I've just cropped the video to the aspect that we were rendering at. So this should work. It'll take a little longer, but it should look a lot less like ass. Because this is bad. I don't like it. But it's the resolution for sure. See, last night I was doing stuff that was wide, so it didn't ever even noticed it. Yeah, line art in depth right now, but the line art is disabled and I'm not pre-processing the depth. I'm just using my mask, the mask I made that kind of already looks like depth mappy. This will also work with a QR code control net, which we can try after this run. Wider. That looks better. That looks better already. Still a little low, like we could probably... I am curious what it looks like at like proper res. Oh, don't tell my video card I've done this. We're going to do 1344 by 768. I am curious what this takes VRAM wise, actually. So we haven't hit 16 gigs of VRAM. Never mind. Spoke too soon. But again, I think we noticed yesterday my baseline is like 3 gigs, 2.5 gigs of VRAM for like streaming and stuff. So chances are, if you were doing this at the resolution I was working at, which is 768 by 432, you should be able to render this on a 12 gig card. What card do I have? I have a 3090. So I have 24 gigs of VRAM to play with. I actually need that to be able to stream and diffuse stuff because, like, I tried to stream diffusion stuff on my 3070 and did not go well. 3.5 minutes, 4 minutes for 16 frames. That's not so bad, right? That's like old school render times. This better look so good. Oh, I don't think it will actually. Oh, I screwed up. Okay. Yeah, so my input footage is 1080. So I just cropped it at I think probably 1080 by 768. That's another weird resolution for SDXL. So chances are this is also going to look like ass, but we are too far down the whoops. No. We are too far down the rabbit hole for that. I can't get you. So yeah, we've done this at the wrong res, but it's a higher res. See how SDXL holds up. I've also noticed this like bottom bar of drip when using hotshot, and I don't know if it's the control net. I don't know what it is, but it's been showing up on all my renders with this method. So if it bothers you, crop your videos, man. I don't know. That looks cool. 60 frames would take... I could do it double time, though. 30 frames. Oh, let's try it, eh? But before we do that, I screwed up. Image resize. No. No. Let's try image resize. I think it's resize plus. Yeah, that nearest maybe? It's weird it didn't work. So let's resize it to this. Do we need the crop still? Oh, we can tell by here, I guess, immediately. That is not right. Cancel. Okay. Well, that's not right either. So the resize just isn't doing what it's supposed to. Why? What did I do before? Width and height. It's not that, is it? No. Cancel. It should be cropping, but it's squishing. It's so weird. Okay, screw it. 768 by 432. We're back to where we were. Quite a bit, yeah. I like Warp Fusion. It's a little slow. It's a little slow even on my 3090, but it's great. Ah, see, this one's funky too. Oh, image into here, image into here. It's tall still. This is crazy. It was working totally fine yesterday. All right, screw image resize then. We'll have to just crop it and it'll just have to be bigger than the crop size. Width, height, 768 by 432. You and also it's all. Oh, geez, wrong crop tool. That's so annoying. Images, where are you going? No. Is that you? All right, and then center and you, and okay. Why are you a square? Oh, geez. Saying 68 by 432. Hey, we did it. See, 1-to-1, just cropped in on the image. That's all we needed. So your source image has to be larger than the crop size, which makes sense. I guess if you're really concerned, what you could then do is just upscale your input footage on the way in and then crop it. Crop it back down. Use like a 2x upscaler. Crop it back down if it's too small. But I'm not going to do that in the interest of time. This K sampler is unplugged because that's my upscaler. I'm not going to use it for these runs. But when I want to use it, I got this reroute here. We just plug that back in, and you can also mute it. I just find the muting doesn't always mute things right. Basically, if we get a run we like because the seeds are fixed, I can just plug this in and it'll upscale it as the next run. So if we get a really good one, we can then decide to upscale it 1.5. And that's just another K sampler with all the same inputs and then latent upscale by 1.5. Yeah, no worries. Yes, good eye. It's definitely screaming. I don't play music on my streams so that you can play your own music and set it to whatever volume you like. If you want to listen along to what I am listening to, you can click on my name on Discord and then just click listen along on my Spotify. I usually have music playing in my headphones, but it's not playing out because I find streams with music kind of annoying. So you can listen whenever the hell you want to. Pop Tuesdays on the bus. So this should be a perfect loop, a full render, 30 frames at double speed, which is 60 frame animation. Will make it just like a really fast version of the animation, but should be a perfect loop. Thank you, AnimateDiff. Well, that's pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with that. Kind of want to run an upscale on that. So we just plug the model back in, and then because it's all the same seed, it'll just run the upscale run now. Yeah, it looks cool. Balloon flowers wiggling in the wind. Hey, Simone. After this upscale, I'll switch to a different mask that we just made. So for the upscale, it's 1.5. So I don't even know what's that. 768. It's 1152 by 648. See what it looks like. It's using like 16 gigs of VRAM, so I guess that's not bad for like 2 control nets. I have all the IP adapter stuff loaded. It's just off, but we could use that to infuse style too. This might look bad because it's only 8 steps. I haven't really refined this upscaling process yet, but that's kind of cool. Lose some of the detail, but gain some fidelity. Yeah, it's cool. Very cool. I like how it's like a fabric in the background, like a curtain. See all the little wrinkles appearing? Yeah, super cool. All right, let's try a different mask. Actually, I made this one yesterday, but it's very long. But it might be cool. Let's try it. Let's double speed it. What's that? 280. I'm trying to think if I think I made it so it's divisible by 4, which would be 70 frames. There's only 10 more frames than we had. So for now, let's just do 16 frames. See how it looks. And we'll do double speed because it's a really slow one. What would be a cool Laura? Let's try the claymation one. What does the mask look like again? It's bubbling and stuff, wobbles and bubbles. So let's go. Hmm. Ooh, let's go. Volcanic eruption, clay and magma. Clay and magma. Volcanic rock, black glass, stone. Try that with the claymation thing. At the claymation, Laura. Ideally, we'll get like a claymation volcanic eruption thing coming out of the center, but who knows? Well, actually, let's make it happen. I'll show you what the IP adapters is for. JSON. So if we generate the image we want with the same model and the same LoRa that we're going to be animating with, and we use it as an IP adapter input, it really helps to define the styles. So if we are able to define the style with the LoRa before we even run an animation and grab that image, use it as the input, then we can drive the result to where we started, which is really cool. Have you done hand masks for control nets? No, not yet, but there is a new hand masking thing. I haven't played with it yet, but I think it looks like it would work. Those are cool. What if I use the first frame? I'm curious. What if I use the first frame of the input? What folder was that in? We use that as the VAE encoder. Here's a little trick I learned. So I want to load this image. I want to repeat the image batch 4 times so I get 4 at 1024 by 1024. I think if I'm right, actually I should probably have a look at this preview image. Make sure it looks right on the way out. Yeah, we got 4 images, so now it should make 4 versions. That actually looks kind of cool like that. Weird. The first one didn't work. Whatever. I don't like any of these. Let's try flowing magma eruption. I think I gave it way too much stuff about rocks. Turned into little dioramas. Yeah, it's fixed seed, so it's gonna keep going from this seed and doing 4. I think that's the one right there. Save image and go back here. And we're gonna load this in here. And we're gonna set this weight back to 0.8. So now this is gonna inform our animation. We got our new mask loaded in. We're gonna do 16 frames. It's gonna do them at 768 by 432. Let's try it. Line art control net is still at 0. This one's at 0.8, so we'll see. Minute and a half for 16 frames. It's not too bad considering you're getting SDXL plus a LoRa plus 2 control nets plus IP adapters. Because when you have fixed seed and a batch input, it'll do, so say you had seed 4, number 4, the 4 numbers in the batch it would do is seed 4, seed 5, seed 6, and seed 7. It just incrementally goes up seed by seed for each image in the batch. So in that case, I had 4 images in the batch, and it was on seed 42069. So those 4 images were seeds 42069, 70, 71, and 72 respectively. Otherwise, it would just generate 4 of the same image, and it'd be a complete waste of GPU power. But if you keep doing that over and over again, you're going to get the first image is always going to be the same, unless you change. That's cool. Yeah, I think we're running this one. This is neat. This is neat. All right, let's run it. SDXL Turbo is cool, but it is not as diverse. I don't know if it works with Laura's, and I don't know if it works with all this stuff. It might. The main reason I don't use SDXL Turbo right now is because I don't have a commercial license for it, and I don't know if using it like on YouTube, which I'm monetizing, is like considered commercial usage of the models. So I'm just kind of steering clear of that for now. But eventually, I will probably become a member of the stability like model crew, like the membership thing, because once SVD gets a little longer, I'll probably want to use it, commercially. So it'll be more viable for me. But right now, the 1 second or 2 second generations just aren't not quite worth it for me. They look awesome though. They look really good with like realistic prompts and stuff. So, it's all growing. It's all getting better. Okay. So we're gonna hit 0. No. How many frames are we gonna load? Half of the animation. That's 140 frames. That's a lot of frames. Let's cap it at 70 and see if it loops. I actually will be able to tell really quickly if it loops because this will update. Ooh, I think they loop. Sick. Oh, the upscale worked. Forgot I had it plugged in. Oh, the upscale looks like crap. All right, we're gonna unplug that for this run, I think. Well, it's too late now. I think it's already running, but we gotta remember, don't need to run the upscaler run unless I'm gonna do more frames, because Jesus. I think that's because it's only 8 steps. Yeah. So that should be 70, right? Yeah, 70. Nice. I am gonna make a coffee while this renders. I've been at this for almost 2 hours now. So if your knees are sore, get up and stretch. But if you don't want to, don't. I'm not your mom. I'll be back. Enjoy. Stretch or don't. Whatever. Well, this looks cool. Well, this is really cool. So that's with 80% on the F scaler's running. So that's with 80% on this, but nothing on the thing. So let's try 0.5 on the line art. And we'll just go back to 16 frames to do like a real quick one because I'm curious what kind of difference that makes. But these I really like this one. This one came out awesome. Don't you love waiting? Don't you love watching things render? Me too. Nothing more fun than watching a progress bar go by very slowly. Every time I talk about that, I lose viewers. I should stop talking about that. So looping, you do 50% of the total frames. Yeah, it's just skipping every other frame to make it twice as fast. So it saves me. Yeah, that's what that on the load images path, all the video helper suite nodes, you can select every nth, which means like frame skip. So you can frame skip by 2, frame skip by 3, frame skip by 4. So it renders every other frame or every, third frame, every fourth frame. So the video is faster, but less frames, but you still get a perfect loop if you let the whole video run. Oh, that's cool with the line art, actually. Oh, I got to run one of these too, because that looks cool as hell. I would also like to do some tests where we don't use the come on, brain. Don't use the VAE encoder to get the frames. We actually use empty frames and just let the control net do its thing. Yeah, I don't know if that'll be better or worse, but it is definitely worth a crack. I could rewire that after this run. See what it looks like. Got the Ionitis again. I don't know why. This will be another 7-minute run, I think. 17 minutes. That seems long. Oh, yeah, of course, because it's 140 frames. I need to set that to 70. Sorry, the reason this video loops at 70 is because when I did my tau thing, like the animation, that loop actually loops 4 times over the course of the video, I think. So you can actually chop it into 4 sections and it'll loop, you know what I mean? Like, so you can run a long one, long, slow one, or a short one, and it'll loop twice over the course of the animation. Twice over the course of the animation. Because it loops twice over the course of the animation, excuse me, when I double the speed by skipping a frame, I'm able to then do half of those frames to make a perfect loop because, yeah, twice per. So when you make your input masks, it might be a good idea to make them loop twice and then you don't have to render the whole thing to get a perfect loop. Oh, thank you. Thank you for the donation. I really appreciate it. I need to get one of those cool alarm things. That can't be hard to set up, right? Okay, this is working. 8 minutes. All right, we got this. Patreon, Discord, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Purz.xyz. All the links are there. Subscribe. Join the Discord. Get the workflows. Get the masks. Get all the fun stuff. Patreon gets you Inner Sanctum Discord access to the special channel and special voice channel. And there'll be lots of cool stuff coming soon for the subscribers. I just don't know what it is yet. Once I figure out what people want, I will make it. And then Twitter to see all my experiments and to see when I'm going live. Instagram for less frequent updates. And yeah, all the links. That's all the links, I think. Check me out on Giphy too. I got like 30 million views on Giphy. Things are happening. Back when Discord had a Giphy tab, you could just type Purz in there and all my little GIFs would come up, but they only have 10 now. Yeah, I just got to learn to set that stuff up. I also have to learn how to do like different scenes better. And like this, but I need to set up other ones for the other views, like when I jump to another browser window or Discord or Blender, etc., etc. It's just that I like to share my main monitors because then I can just, when I jump between stuff, it just shows up. Easy peasy. All right, well, screw these normal maps, although they do look cool. One thing I wanted to do was mess with the distortion a bit on the wave texture because this is boring. Yeah, there we go. Whoa. Oh, you're not connected. That's fine. We need less. And then maybe closer together. Ooh, that might be a cool one. Let's zoom in on that. Whoa. This is cool. I like this. I like this. I wonder if I can randomize the rotation of each of them. Yeah. Can I do this? Okay, so they spin like that. But then, can I just pop like a... Wait, what? That's weird. Oh, cool. All right, right. Because they're all... That's cool. All right, so let's go 0 to 180. Now that's trippy. I don't like the way they clip in and out of each other. Just a... Wiggly. Ways in the jaws. Oh man, I just revealed my age. Oh, I guess the gray hair does that. Okay, that's pretty cool. Wiggly, biggly, biggly, wiggly, biggly. All right, let's get rid of the normal maps, as cool as they are. Let's add ambient occlusion again. Ambient occlusion and color ramp. Dark it up. That's pretty cool. Should be a cool depth map. Now, actually, I'm curious if we have something else in the background, like spinning. Like, what about another ecosphere? And this is the problem with this stuff. You can really go down the rabbit hole adjusting sliders until you go absolutely crazy. Well, that's freaking cool. Why is it so big? Oh, maybe it's way too much. It's cool, but this one's way too distracting. Go away. Never be afraid to erase what you did. Noids? I don't even know what to call these things. Ah! Whoa. This is awesome. Like a top-down view of a volcano exploding. Erupting? Let's try this one. Well, I mean, that might be a cool one, totally by accident. So, you know, let's render it. It's cool, like the mesh intersections and stuff don't really matter because the AI is going to dream weird stuff on top of it anyways. You can kind of go crazy with the Blender stuff and not really worry about like fantastic topology and all the stuff you have to worry about normally with Blender. You can just kind of go crazy, make weird procedural stuff and render it. Oh yeah, we got to render that whole one. 70. I don't know if this one will work. Hey, yeah, it's a loop. Let's go. Just occurred to me I should do versions of my stream where it goes all chipmunk mode while it's rendering. I bet we could cut the 4-hour streams down to like 45 minutes of actual talking while we're just sitting here waiting to render. It's a lot of editing though. I have to start saving my streams locally. It's getting late here, so I think I'll cut this off in about 10 minutes. Whenever this render's finished, we'll have a look at it, and yeah, about 8 minutes or so. Yeah, make masks with Blender. As long as your phase offset on your wave texture goes from 0 to tau over the course of your timeline, and you just make that last frame 1 frame after your frame, everything you make a loop. You can just add other textures into the wave texture and get yourself all kinds of fun stuff. Like it doesn't necessarily need to be this let's go 0.1 no distortion, bring you guys all back to 1, squish them down. Right, what do we got here? We got these lumpy thumps. Let's get rid of the rotation so we can see them, and we're going to get rid of this random rotation as well. Boop. So they're all facing the same direction. Okay, so we got a wave texture here. Actually, we can add some more so we can get a better idea of what's going on here. So because our wave texture is perfectly looping, we can actually add a math node and just like add any other texture you want in here. A Voronoi texture. Now here's the cool thing. If you do this correctly, you can get some really interesting patterns by adding 2 patterns together. A good example here. It's hard to visualize this texture through this one. Let's add the position, and randomize seems to help. Let's increase the strength. Well, that's a lot. Maybe just 2. It's basically like introducing noise into your animation. But no matter what you add here, be it random or unrandom, whatever pattern you add to it, it's gonna always loop perfectly because that phase offset's just bouncing from 0 to tau. So yeah, have fun with that. You can make some really cool looking. Because remember, when you look at this stuff, it's orthographic, but you can get really cool stuff by doing perspective. So you hit X and it's automatically orthographic. But when you set your camera is going to be set to whatever your thing is. So you just zero off the two you're not using, back it off to the location you want, zoom it up and zoom it in. Get yourself some cool patterns going. Half of them still got normals. I don't remember which ones do and which ones don't. Oh, so we're looking at ones that have material. We want to switch to material 001. Is that all of them? Yeah. Can I hide that collection again? Sometimes it's fun to plug the wrong math in, but sometimes it goes haywire. Snap is pretty interesting. It makes things sort of look like stop motion. Rap's kind of weird. Well, that's trippy. That's actually kind of cool. Ooh, I like that. All right, well, I'm just going to render that real quick because that's cool as hell. Save this project. And let's see. 2 minutes left. 1.5 minutes left. This should be a perfect loop because our input footage is a perfect loop. And kind of cool if I don't say so myself. It's a refraction shader I was working on yesterday. I was just stuff I was working on my own time. I wasn't streaming when I made it, but if anyone's interested in how this shader is made, I can make this next time. It's pretty cool. I like it. Render. Yeah, I'll be announcing a proper streaming schedule soon. And try and take this more seriously. 3 times a week. They say you should try to stream for 4 hours, but I think 4 hours is a bit of a stretch goal right now. I'm going to try and do at least 2 hours per stream, and then we'll see where it goes from there. If we're onto something, we'll just keep streaming longer. But yeah, I don't want to artificially inflate the length of the streams just to, try to match some crazy metrics. So yeah, we'll have fun. We'll do our thing, and when we get tired, we'll stop. And yeah, it'll be cool. This is so cool. This is so freaking cool. Wow. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks everybody for hanging out. And yeah, if you want to go back through the Blender stuff, just go back to the beginning of the video and check it out. And I got a bunch of other videos on here of me building shaders and stuff in Blender. So if you want to do those, go for it too, because yeah, making shaders is the way to make masks, and making masks is the way to make good AnimateDiff animations. So it all feeds into each other. AI as workflow augmentation, not replacement. We don't want to replace people. We want to replace nothing. We want to get some new tools and get some new workflows and use our skills and push them forward. So thank you again, everyone who came out. Really appreciate you all. And we will see you very soon. Swing by the Discord, come hang out, post your art, post your questions. Purz loves you. Have a great night. We'll see you all very, very soon.